Saying bye-bye.
Do you need a grace? Do you need a grace period so we can edit this part out, Luke?
Yeah,
well,
before I
it's
start
streaming,
talking.
So.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll just get into it.
Look what I did. I'm gone.
That's probably not a bad move.
There's still audio, Luke.
What are those noises in the background?
Nobody knows what I'm smoking over here.
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
lighter.
How could anyone guess?
Oh man, my cam is on.
Yeah, so I'm drinking a Celsius because yesterday, basically when we got to the barbecue, I started to realize that, or on the way to the barbecue, I realized I was having an allergic reaction, allergic reaction to the Bactrim.
That was new as of yesterday? The reaction? You made it sound
more
like
or
you
less.
were dealing with it for a while.
I was having like the back. So to back up, right? I think Luke was here for this part, but I ended up getting a staph infection 2 days before I got on a plane to go to Europe, so that was great. But got put on antibiotics, and then I felt like crap the first couple days, and it came around, and then like I was itching a little bit, like that's one of the side effects, and then like Saturday I woke up and started getting a rash, and it just got worse. Worse Sunday and today, or yesterday was Sunday, right? And so now I'm loaded up on Benadryl and then offsetting it with Celsius energy drink. So yeah, I'm here, to help.
Yeah. Here in physical form, at least. Yeah.
So I'll let Luke carry the show as usual,
Yeah. He hard carried it last week.
Yeah, he kind of did that when you were out too. Yeah, just kind of carried me up the hill on his back.
That's why we move like heaven and earth just to have him on the show. Like I think
it's important.
You're muted, Luke. We're not getting your audio.
I'm glad you acknowledged my fucking importance in the show. I think the one there's a caveat. He'll be late as fuck.
Like. It depends on your definition of late. Like, it's like entirely random.
He once we reset to 12, he was here at 12 on the dot. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
Listen, it's all about priorities.
I was actually late to the third time we set today, or whatever it's been. So
you got to understand, right? I was a bartender for 8-10 years, something like that. If somebody is 5 minutes late, fucking on time, motherfucker.
All right, well, I was 5 minutes late, so.
Well, you're on time then.
Yeah, I guess I'm on time.
I give you grace, even though you're not as important to the podcast.
How does it? What version of this are you on? Like if it's 30 minutes late, I'm on time. What? What's the Luke version?
You just have to pick a new time if you're late already, and then you're not late anymore if you pick a new time.
It's really about what the amount of time before the original start time was that I tell you I'm going to be late. If it's 15 minutes before, can't even be mad. If it's like 5 minutes before, I understand. You guys can be pissed.
Okay.
You should never get a corporate job, man.
Dude, I have a corporate job.
Do you think that's corporate? You don't have a corporate job.
No,
you don't go to an office and
not like a Booz Allen level,
Yeah.
He's using Excel now. He keeps pinging me about that at the most inconvenient times. So.
I messaged Derek while he was in Germany. Hey man, you wanna help me out here? He's like, you go fuck yourself.
I asked if you came to the party yesterday with Excel questions for Derek. That would have been the time to ask him. We just poured him off of an airplane and into an Uber or whatever.
He showed up ready to go and saw what condition I was in. Was like, this can wait.
I just need be shown VLOOKUP 30 times so I understand it.
XLOOKUP. It's 2024, Luke.
I hate that you just said that. I quit this fucking podcast. If you had said HLOOKUP, which makes me feel worse, I'd have been like, okay, I could deal with you. But then you said XLOOKUP, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't want a corporate job. You're welcome.
If Luke quit the podcast, how long would it take us to realize that he had quit the podcast?
It would take a lot of non-responsive responses to text
Luke
messages.
Luke is just really busy, I guess.
Yeah. He hasn't showed up for any of the last 3 scheduled times. Like, all right.
Don't worry, I would hand in a resignation form that was written on a napkin. I am no longer here.
Well, we do have some stuff to talk about with regard to footballing matters, I guess. What did you guys think of the FA Cup? I guess is the obvious thing to talk about. Derek, did you even get to see this?
I was traipsing around Brussels and then got back and watched like the last 30 minutes.
I was traipsing around Brussels. I was eating
Derek, and I'm important.
And cappuccinos.
I was most definitely drinking a I had 2 cappuccinos on Saturday. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the score and I was like, "Oh, looks like a shit pile." That City didn't show up for, and then I watched the last 30 minutes, and yeah, it was clear that it was one of those games where Doku was the only one up for it, and everybody else was just kind of there. I mean, I guess Jack Grealish was in the stadium. I forget whether ever he came into that game, but yeah, it was weird to see United come away with a trophy, right?
Yeah,
it was a weird game. I don't know. It was at one point totally predictable, and at the second level totally strange because Guardiola just fucked the game up. Like, you don't see him do it at that stake level that often.
Yeah.
Champions League final, he overthinks it, but he usually overthinks it. Maybe that's what I mean. In this game, it like looked like he smoked a fucking bong with me before the game and just decided it didn't matter. It was like really bad tactics from Pep.
He knows there's another season left on his contract, right?
He acknowledged that he set up poor tactically. Yeah,
he to give him some credit, he did say that right after.
Well, we didn't need him to acknowledge it.
Well, it was he had no pace on the field. Really, it was Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden wide, right? Kovacic, Rodri, De Bruyne, obviously Haaland up top. But other than Haaland as like the focal point, there's no pace out wide. So you might as well play Doku. So there's some like transitional, like you have more moments in the transition because that's all United wanted to play for was transition the whole game.
Yep.
It felt like a high school soccer game from a U.S. high school soccer game from Man United.
It's what Ten Hag said he was going to do this season from the beginning. He finally executed on it during the FA Cup.
I think that's fair, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
He put Rashford back in the team, which was surprising to me. Didn't play in number 9. I kind of like the setup from Ten Hag. It made sense. Like, it's just like kind of boring and
I think it's interesting that I criticized Vardiol or called him out for struggling to adjust to the PL in a way that I didn't anticipate he would. Like, I thought he would hit the ground running. And almost immediately after I did that, he put together a string of games that made him look like among the best left backs in the world.
Scored like 7 goals or 9 goals or something like that.
Great, like really good defensively, really great getting up the field and on the ball.
Yeah.
Like other teams' defenders are giving him space on the ball. He's pretty smooth. Like when he's actually on the ball, and then just made that huge mistake with Ortega for the opening goal. I'm not sure who's at fault in the replays. It looks like Ortega's not talking at all.
I think no matter what, that's on the goalie.
Yeah,
like as a goalie, you've got to give really clear instructions in that moment, right?
Yeah,
like head back, whatever their terminology is. There's just obviously no communication. That's on the goalie for me. The ball shouldn't bounce. I think that's one thing from a defensive point of view. The ball shouldn't be bouncing, going back to your goal like that. But there's just no communication. And Ortega's in no man's land anyway. But yeah,
they miss Ederson for sure. Rumors are that Ederson may move this off season, which is interesting.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why he would do that. Maybe now that Pep is, or like there are strong rumors now that Pep, this is his final season. I don't know if you caught that, Luke, but
I have seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, so maybe Ederson will like stick it out for like one more, and then call it when the gaffer leaves. But yeah, real bummer. The silver lining for Chelsea fans. Well, so Newcastle is now entirely knocked out of Europe.
Probably a good thing for them, actually. Like, if you look,
do you think so? I don't think it is, but I'm open to your reasoning.
I think they can buy some more players without the European financial constraints. They can be a little more creative in terms of what England does, particularly, and then they can kind of rebuild to go back at it. I think that realistically, Newcastle in Champions League really hurt their season this year. They were not ready for it in terms of the way the squad was built, the way the manager they have, even really not built up to a Champions League level yet, and it really hurt their season this year. You saw that with the injuries. I think next year they can kind of recalibrate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Conference League really means anything to Newcastle. I also don't think it really means anything to Chelsea in terms of financial picture, other than European financial restrictions, like in terms of money revenue coming in. I think. But
I mean, it's more matches, so it's definitely revenue coming in.
But
which I think is a big issue for them, right?
But not at a high. It's not even close to what Europa League really is. We should look that up, see what the split is. But I just think it puts Newcastle in a position to rebuild the squad a little bit.
Yeah,
that's all. And I think they're going to sell Bruno. I think they could make
seems that way.
That's a $90-100 million player now.
Where do you think he goes?
Oh, I would love to see him at a team like Man City, to be honest. That would be kind of cool.
Comes to mind.
I think Real Madrid is definitely an option with Kroos and Modric coming out of the team a little bit. Not that they don't have depth. Barcelona couldn't afford him. But I think they sell him and make a huge amount of money. Maybe Bayern Munich.
I read from Fabrizio Romano, I guess him and Ornstein are like the transfer gurus, but he said that Guimaraes, what is it, I think it's from June to July, has a 100 million euro release clause that's active, and then after that it's entirely up to how Newcastle negotiates. So I guess it depends on like if teams think that the market is such that he'll go for over 100 million euros, then somebody will come in and trigger that clause. I don't know. Is he worth that much?
There's not that many clubs. I think so. I think he's a pretty fantastic player. Mm-hmm. In terms of what the market is, there's only like 5 or 6 clubs in the world, maybe 3 outside of England, who could actually pay that.
Yep.
You're thinking Bayern, Real Madrid.
I don't even know if Bayern can right now.
I'm not super familiar with Bayern's financial structure as is right now, but they seem like they've been buying and they have players to sell. Like if they sell Alphonso Davies, that kind of thing. Oh, unless Alphonso Davies is free. Is his contract over?
I think he ran his contract out.
Yeah, that would be shitty for them.
Yeah.
But I think they have assets to sell to get new players. But like you're looking Man City, Man United maybe, and maybe Liverpool. I think he'd be cool at a Liverpool. I think he's a good player for that kind of
Liverpool
club.
Would be fun.
Yeah, because he's just like helter-skelter, like run at it, like fucking make it happen.
I don't like. I think he's like a dirty piece of shit. I like can't stand Bruno Guimaraes.
But outside of your personal opinion,
his like what role is he? Like a CDM? Like what's his best role?
He's a box-to-box number 8. I think that's his best role.
Yeah,
with the ability to control the game.
Yeah, I mean, City was in for Paqueta, and now he's probably going to be banned forever. Basically, I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, for
10 years,
betting,
yeah.
Right?
Well, not just betting. He was betting and then attempting to like
influence
the game so that the bets would like. He was trying to take like a yellow card deliberately, and they have like a ton of evidence linking those. Like he's gone. It may be a wrap for his career. Like that's really bad. Like betting is one thing. Betting and then trying to like influence the outcome of that bet is like I think that's like an order of magnitude worse.
Well, it's kind of like, why is it? It's not surprising that this is happening with players. Like, we could have a whole episode of how betting is like the visibility of sports betting is so detrimental to the stability and the structure of all sporting events in the world.
Yep.
You can't be surprised that some of these players, they're normal people too. Like, they have, foibles, they have vices, and when it's everywhere, of course you're going to do it. Like, we have some friends, some of them on this podcast, who are degenerate gamblers.
Well, I was about to weigh in here. I mean, we talk about vices, right? Like, there's a difference between the $19 I won on City winning the premiership and this guy literally betting against himself and then trying to give people 12 stutters to take a red card. But I don't know. To your point, I don't know that. I don't know that it's that much of a detrimental impact in general on the game. I think you're always going to have instances if it's not regulated and constructed appropriately of this kind of stuff. And I'm sure there's stuff going on that flies beneath the radar. But it also just because it's legal, right, doesn't mean that in the absence of legal betting this still couldn't occur, because it's not like bookies didn't exist prior to the legalization of gambling, right? And gambling's existed in the UK on sports for I think much longer. But
the visibility has grown and grown and grown over the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And what I would say
the past 3 years.
In the US, it's blown the fuck up,
yeah.
Right? But if you're going to accept that gambling addiction is some kind of illness or treatable life situation, of course there's 2 in 500 who have that that illness or that addiction, right? And if it's more visible, you're going to see more and more players coming out and these issues happening, I think.
Yeah, this is veering into pseudo political stuff, but What this podcast, if we ever get anywhere with this podcast, say we add another 100 listeners a week, and then maybe we can take advertisers, probably some of them are going to be gambling advertisements. That's just where all the money is. And my personal view is that what we have done with sports betting is the biggest unforced error that I've seen us make as a society in since cigarettes.
Yeah.
I think we will look back at it with the level of shame, and we'll think it looks that level of idiotic. We basically
sugar, tobacco, sports betting,
and sports betting. We took a generation of kids and got them addicted to dopamine via cell phones, just alerts and social media and shit. Yeah. And then, right as they were entering adulthood, we unleashed this kraken that is sports betting. Yeah. And they were just primed for addiction.
How is it that of all people here, Ryan has all the parental instincts?
Well, I sure as fuck don't have any.
I'm sitting here stupefied.
If you look at the data on it, it's bad. The amount of addiction, it's epidemic already in 3 years time. And
I can see that.
You add that a generation addicted to Adderall and uppers. And it's just like me in college. If I took some Adderall and had sports betting on my phone, I'd be like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, dude. It's
true.
I think it's.
I know the personality types that Ryan's talking about, and now that I think about it, right, and they never stood a chance once this became what it is.
Well, we're fucking with you, Derek. I think you're fine, but it's actually
I wasn't taking it any kind of way.
But I do think that we're making a big mistake, and Europe is set up better for this. So there's their lawmakers made it so that, for example, if you had a gambling addiction, you could via one phone call have yourself banned from all of the gambling applications and casinos with one call. In America, you have to you can only do that as a one-off. So if you ask DraftKings to ban you because you have an addiction, still have access to every other one of them.
Or set up limits individually by app, which,
Yeah.
to your point, isn't really effective. You'll just go seek another app.
Yeah, if you're
out.
truly addicted, you'll relapse
Yeah.
and just download a different app. Right?
So bringing this back to Luke Paqueta and the fuck's his name? Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
The Italian dude at Newcastle, right?
Oh, yeah. I already
Is he-
forgot about
Tonali.
him.
Tonali, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was he was banned for betting as well.
Yeah.
These are 21 to 30-year-old guys, right?
Yeah.
They're all the same generation that Ryan you're kind of pointing
Mhm.
at, and it shouldn't really be surprising that some of these guys come out and have these issues.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not surprising at all. So I hope that they don't ban him for life. I think that would be disappointing because I don't think it's his responsibility, but I don't think it's his fault in a kind of cultural way. So I would like to see him banned for an amount of time and get support to come back into the game. But it is too bad for West Ham because he's a player, man.
It's tough because, well, it's really bad because they were going to sell him. So that's why I brought him up, is because
Yeah.
I'm wondering if City was heavily linked with Paqueta. I wonder if Guimaraes is they scratched that itch.
I would rather.
I think they're pretty different players, but
Yeah.
they can also kind of play
Similar roles.
fit the same.
I'm much
Yeah.
I'm much hotter on Bruno anyway. I think Bruno's a better player
Yeah.
for me. More consistent, influences more games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's a fit for every team, but some like Real comes to mind. Maybe more of a
Where does he get
counter-attacking
into
team,
Real?
but-
You guys both brought that
Well,
up. So
he'd
they
be
have,
depth, right? I mean, Kroos is old.
He's
Modric's
retired.
Kroos is
old.
done, yeah.
He said
Kroos
he's
is
retired.
done. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
last
they-
game at Bernabeu.
Okay, well there you go. I mean, that's a spot, I think. But
they've got
Modric might move on too. I mean, Kamavinga can play there, I guess. Right?
Yeah, they've got Kamavinga. They've got Jude. They have, what's his name? Starts with a T. Chouameni.
Yeah,
so it'd
Valverde
be
plays in
squad
the
depth.
number
Yeah,
8.
Yeah,
Valverde.
Valverde.
Yeah, so maybe
They're
that's-
deep.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
that
team's
Real
so
is
good.
fucked up.
Yeah, dude, that team's
They're
good,
so
man.
They're
fucking good.
glitched out.
Yeah.
That team is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're just stacked.
I mean, you could go to a team like United where there's no players, no competent players, right?
They don't have money.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah,
They don't have
point,
money,
yeah.
and they have to get rid of a ton of dead wood.
Yeah, they're going to sell 10 players for $2 million a piece.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have United after that win is going to have European issues with their squad probably again as well.
True.
It'd be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
IRR on Mount is not looking great at the moment.
He finally won a game.
Yeah, bound to happen, you know.
He won a
This is-
trophy before Chelsea won a trophy.
True.
Well, he won the CL with Chelsea.
You're right, but after he left, I mean.
And more trophies
Yeah.
in here at Kane, too.
Yeah, for sure more than any Tottenham player for the past 20 years. If we
In the
just
league.
get out-
Yeah,
get
that's
that
in
out
the
of
league
way.
right now.
Dude,
Let's
do
get
you
that
see,
in.
speaking of Ivan Toney, do you see he is heavily linked with Tottenham?
Yeah, him and Solanke have both been the two names getting shouted out.
Man.
I think
Slanky would cook.
Yeah, I think Solanke would be my. I would rather Solanke just because he's a little bit more flexible in like an Ange Postecoglou system, but the team is crying out for a point of attack, like a sharp end of the knife. Sonny can't play through the middle. I would rather Solanke, but Tony would be a good fit for 3 years. I just hope we don't pay £100 million for him because he's been injured half the season that he's even been here. He's he was banned and then he came back and was injured half the time.
I like that Luke isn't even throwing out that number related to Tottenham.
What?
What?
Like,
number?
unless the Taylor Swift concert is bringing in $100 million, they're not spending $100
Oh,
million.
he's not going for $100 million. He's going to be cheap now.
Not within the model of the club. It's just never going to happen. I think he'd probably be in the 30 to 45 range.
I think that's probably what he's at now.
Yeah.
The only reason that his figure was so high, that was the mid-season. It looks like Transfermarkt has him at 50 million euros. The excuse me. The only reason he was so high in mid-season is Brentford thought they were in a relegation battle, and to a degree they were in December, and they like really needed him to come back and keep them in the PL or help keep them in the PL. Turned out they didn't need him that bad, but that's why when we were hearing those figures of like 80, 90 million, that was why, because they were unwilling to sell unless it was going to be an eye-watering amount of money. So yeah, he'll go for 40 to 50. I don't know how, if you're Tony and you like grew up in the UK seeing what Tottenham does, you could ever want to go to that club. Like I just can't fucking rationalize that in my head. Like I get it with like people like Højbjerg and Son who aren't from the country and don't know the history and the culture of that club. Like they get like fucking hoodwinked into going. Luke just bombed off.
See you later, Luke.
But yeah, I don't know.
Fuck you guys.
I don't think Luke was ready for that ambush. Truthfully, I wasn't sure it was
totally
coming
unwarranted, all right?
Just catching strays.
Yeah.
That wasn't a stray. That was just
that's
like
not a stray.
that was like a bomb on like
that's a precision
Kiev or something.
strike. Actually,
Like,
you're right.
That was the Russian oligarch club bombing some poor fucking people.
Yeah.
I don't know either, but I'm a little more concerned about Tony's age. I think he's just a little old for
What's
the profile
he,
player.
27? Yeah, he is.
He's 28.
28. Okay.
Yeah, Solanke's 26. I would rather us go for Solanke, but we'll see. I think either would be good for the team for next year. We do need some of those players. We need players who are only going to be there for 2 years, have good experience, and will get you 15 goals a season. Sonny is just not good through the middle. That's the really big call out. Like Richarlison's not available enough, and you can't play Sonny through the middle anymore.
Well, to bring it all back, Chelsea now in the Conference League. I think there's like Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, I think is the hierarchy.
Yep.
Chelsea will be playing in the Conference League. There are still rumors that they will decline to participate in that because of the increased FFP restrictions. I hope that is not the case, because I think it'd be kind of fun to get, like, fucking imagine Cole Palmer in the Conference League. He's gonna cook. Like,
I don't know if he'd ever actually play in the Conference League.
Maybe not.
But it's the only European trophy we haven't won,
right.
So that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. We'd be the first team to collect all the Europe trophies and the Club World Cup. We'd have all the trophies you could win, and I think we'd be the first club.
Who'd you win the Europa League with, Conte?
Hazard. Oh, sorry. You mean which coach? That was it
Frank.
Sarri?
No, Sarri won that Champions League that was just out of nowhere.
No.
Oh, maybe it was Sarri. Maybe it was Sarri. So no, it was
won
Sarri.
the Champions League.
Tuchel and the other manager who was a player came in the second half of the year.
Am I expected to remember all of Chelsea's managers at this point?
It's hard. I think Conte won the league, but then just fizzled out very rapidly the next season, and I don't think. Let's see, Chelsea. I think it was Sarri. I want to say it was Sarri.
Sarri makes sense to me.
13 and 19. Anyway, while I'm looking this up, dude, the list of Chelsea managers.
It's very long.
So it would have been Sarri, and it would have been the other time we won it would have been Mourinho. Looks like.
Really?
Yeah. Or no. Was it Benitez?
Oh, Benitez would also make sense. But
I think it was Rafa Benitez. Yeah,
that sounds right.
Y'all Chelsea people hated him.
We did.
Yeah. Nice. Not quite as nice as you were to Pochettino, but.
Do you? Fuck Pochettino. How about that? That happened since the last episode. Mutual. They went their own ways. Mutual termination or whatever they're calling
Ryan's
it.
so excited he's throwing a pizza party to celebrate next week.
I am. Yeah.
I may or may not be attending.
Shocking.
You came up with the idea.
Purely shocking. Well, let's just move on.
Luke's idea was for us to watch the CL final together.
Yeah, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for this right now.
Yeah.
I didn't say I wouldn't be there. I just said I might be there.
Chelsea, it looks like Enzo Maresca is going to be the new Chelsea manager. I guess that they have agreed to terms, and Chelsea is now working out the fee with Leicester, which will likely be in the realm of 10 million. Yesterday, it really looked it was going to be like it was going to be De Zerbi, and I was not stoked about that. He also didn't like. Chelsea came out and said, so their issues with Poch were. I'll be curious what, Luke, you think about this. One, they could draw a direct line between his training methods and the injuries last season, and they wanted him to back off his training methods. Apparently, he did things like the heaviest training volume of the week would be the day before games, and that the club staff who were not brought in with his coaching team were aghast that he was doing that, and they tried to get him to stop doing it, and he would not. So injuries, goals conceded, they wanted him to possess the ball more, and he wanted to have more control over transfers, and they said, no, we are building a transfer philosophy independent of managers that we bring in. So, and they just decided to go separate ways. And so Enzo Maresca, and then I'll I'm curious what you think about those critiques of Pochettino. They do also feel like he underperformed. Like, they felt he had a squad that could get top 4, top 5, and he didn't do that. Anyway, Maresca, Leicester coach for last season. I believe they won the championship.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, yep. But they did so with Guardiola ball, which is crazy boring. I actually grabbed I took a screenshot of a tweet that I saw this week, or an excretion on X. That somebody posted clips of Erling Haaland when he was at Dortmund and asked what happened to this Haaland, and the top response was, he got clockwork oranged, the same process Grealish went through to go from a flair player, the X Factor, the box office he was at Villa, to the soulless, boring back-pass zombie he is now. All are cogs in Satan's totalitarian system. Any ounce of creativity and you're off to the gulag. And that is what, so this dude who coached, who's the manager for Leicester, Enzo Maresca, they were booed on their way by their home fans. They were booed on their way to winning the championship because of the style of football they played. So that's what we have to get ready. All of the moments of joy that we saw where Cole Palmer did Cole Palmer things. So this is the good parts of Pochettino, right? Is he's a little more in the vein of what's his name? The Real Madrid manager,
Ancelotti.
He identifies good players and lets them vibe, with
Bielsa's high energy and training techniques.
Yeah. And so, if I'm just to wrap this whole train of thought up, I thought we played poorly this season, and I didn't like Poch personally. But I the way I had a lot of fun watching the team, I guess, in ways that I haven't for years with Chelsea, because while they let a lot of goals in and it was heart attack ball all the time, the moments of magic were off the chart for Chelsea. Anyway, what are your thoughts on all of that, Luke, and the critiques of Pochettino, and you obviously really like Poch because he's a Spurs manager.
Well, he was a Spurs manager, and I don't think he'll ever be a Spurs manager again. But I have some thoughts. So on the training, I think that one, if the Chelsea kind of management level, executive level didn't understand how Pochettino applied himself in training during the week, especially with young players, then they didn't do their due diligence. Pochettino did the same exact thing at Tottenham. And I've actually had coaches who did that heavy load before a game. It's not like a heavy load. It's more of like time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always like as much heavy running that might be explained in the media, but it's a lot of time. It's not like just a warm-up, cool-down. So there is that, but if they didn't know about that, that's on them. The squad, Chelsea squad is good. It's young. It has a lot of talent in it, particularly with the emergence of Cole Palmer. It's not a top four squad. If you look at the top four this year, even Aston Villa, right, that project's been building for an extra 10-plus months. They don't deserve to be in that top four. It's just a fact. If you look at the squad and how each individual player performed, just didn't deserve it. I think Pochettino got the best out of that team as possible, particularly towards the end of the year. I think this has more to do with the fan base of Chelsea never getting really on board with with Pochettino, and I think it gave them an out. I think it said, well, we don't really like this, so... And then the last thing I'll say on that is I actually do think this hinged more on the transfer policy and the squad building philosophy. I think it hinged on that more than anything. I think Pochettino has, at Tottenham, the reason it fell apart was because he didn't have any control and he didn't want to be a head coach anymore. He wanted to build something in his philosophy. And I think he gave a huge amount of stink about that because Pochettino's an arrogant-ass Argentinian man who likes to cook steak on the weekend, probably. He's not going to fucking back down from some of those core things. And I think that's really the reason that this ended. I really think that Chelsea fans who are complaining about the performance over a whole season of Chelsea are out of their fucking minds. A Europa League position, that sixth place, pretty much right on track for a team that is that young with that little experience. I just can't see an argument against that. That's fucking rational.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add injuries, which sure you can place blame wherever. Sixth place is a good finish. That's when you look to top four next season. That's would Chelsea be better than Aston Villa next year? Absolutely. Could Chelsea be better than, say, Newcastle, Spurs, or United? Absolutely, they could be. But this year, it's a fucking fallacy that you would be top four. That's just how I feel about that. Yeah. So I think Pochettino is unlucky. I think that Chelsea going for a manager who's never managed in the Premier League, who has a kind of reductive style of play, why is that going to turn out better for you than a second-year Pochettino? What rational thought, what rational argument can be made? This is going to go better.
So I don't think it will. And I mean, that's where we landed last episode when we talked about this. I said I don't like Pochettino the person, but there are no better options on the market.
So why are Chelsea fans making that argument? Why does it matter so much? I'm just kind of pushing you.
I didn't know Chelsea fans were making that argument.
I've heard the
what
whole
I have
kind
seen is universal condemnation of the board for doing this. But honestly, from all the Chelsea information that I felt people are what the fuck is wrong with this club?
But in the middle of the season, I think it was more along the lines of yeah, I think that shifted because it got better and because people realized the players love Poch. What other manager in world football right now has a better reputation for bringing up young players and making them better? You can hate on Tottenham, whatever. Harry Kane, Dele Alli, even Christian Eriksen got significantly better. Kyle Walker, Danny Rose. There is not another manager who has the experience in the Premier League that Poch does of bringing up quality young players and making them better in training. If that's not the fucking goal when you buy 20-year-old players, I don't know what it is. Sorry, Derek.
Yeah, that point's interesting because it's weird that he's been able to develop players so effectively. Palmer and Madueke as exampes, right?
And before that, Lallana, whole Southampton team. But
then they're claiming that he's beating the crap out of them in training. And on one hand, I can get it. If your coach is adamant you're going to do things that are detrimental to the health of the team and just tell you to fuck off, then you've got to make a decision. If that's really what happened, then it makes sense. But it's weird to have that dynamic because players don't like training the day before the game, and players don't like being trained so hard that they're hurt constantly, and so.
But they love him.
There's something fishy about that dynamic. Yeah, they love him, right? So that kind of tells you there's something going on there. The problem's on the board and coach side, not on the coach and player side. And it's not like this board's done anything to really endear itself to the players or our fan base at this point.
That's a good point. They really have not been, and maybe this has changed in the past day, but they haven't been the most transparent about these kinds of decisions either, right?
No, they come out and they give these very clear excuses of why they're moving on to a new coach every 6 months, and it's like, okay, I guess that's what happened.
I think it was a personality thing at the end of the day. It's a big organization, and I think the leadership of the organization, i.e. the ownership group and the management, the team management group, Pochettino, Jesus Perez versus Todd Bowley and everybody else, I think that dynamic was not right.
That was
really
Tuchel,
what happened.
Right? Except Tuchel didn't even have the support of the players, it seemed like. But
and Tuchel won a Champions League, so he had like a whole nother level of leverage, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, pretty shocking stuff. And I don't know where so United is in a awkward position where they had basically announced they were sacking Ten Hag, and then he won another trophy.
I loved Ten Hag after that game. I loved it.
That was really funny.
He was like, if they want to fire me, I'll go win trophies because that's what I do. And it's like,
yeah.
Good shit.
He literally he went to the press conference and just put his dick on the podium. Like that was great. It's like the most emotion I've seen out of him. Like,
well,
he's
it's funny
because
after the game, like, he was barely reacted at the end of time, right? And like I think he was even like taken aback and like confused. He's like, "What the hell am I? What are we doing here?" You know, It's like this team already wants me out of here, and I just won a cup
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that they keep Ten Hag. To be honest with you. I think if they fire Ten Hag, they'd probably hire Pochettino as quickly as they could.
Right.
I thought there was a chance for Pochettino at Bayern Munich. That was kind of a grab-ass thing, but Vincent Kompany going there?
Kompany.
Such
what
a weird...
fuck is happening there?
Yeah, such a weird thing.
They're sailing up.
Yeah. I think Vincent Kompany has potential. It's kind of like them hiring, like, Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard when they came to the Premier League, you know.
But think about it this way, right? Like, that was a team that was so lacking in, like, discipline and bite and just, like, cohesion. Like, they needed, like, and then they have all the talent in the world, right? So, like, you would think you'd go the opposite direction, right? Less of, like, a player's coach or a former player and go to somebody who's more of, like, I don't know, a tactician or an organizer to try and get them over the hump.
Dude, they should have brought Mourinho in.
No.
True.
Get out of here.
Jose would have
He would have won. He would have won a Champions League immediately with that team.
Yeah. That's who they should have brought in.
I think that there are a lot of better choices then. They should have. I think it was a panic thing. They had like missed out on 4 targets, and they're like, well, this guy is a good figurehead. He'll do well in the political, as we talked about last week, the political place of the managerial role at Bayern. Well, I don't know. I think it could go well.
Yeah.
I like Vincent Kompany. I want him to succeed.
I'm with Luke. The coaching market this offseason is kind of like dating in your 30s. You just hit the panic button and start then swinging away.
Barcelona. Dude, Barcelona
is that what you've been doing?
Barcelona did Xavi dirty.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
That was fucked up. Like,
yeah, dude. Fuck that.
This
club.
was a crazy week.
With the Hansi Flick. So Barcelona, talking to Hansi Flick now. Basically, Hansi Flick is coming in after Xavi said, "I'll stay another year."
Yeah,
like, dude, how do you do that?
They begged Xavi to stay. Xavi, who was part of the greatest generation that Barcelona's ever had, La Masia product.
Maybe the best center midfielder of his generation. Honestly.
Yeah. And was just, I mean, the whole reason he resigned is because he thought that there was so much toxicity around him that it was, he basically was like, it hurt my heart to think that I was damaging this club I care so much about.
Yeah.
Then they begged him to stay, and within like 30 days went behind his back. And
he's right back at the center of it where he didn't want to be, right?
Dude, what?
Yeah, terrible.
Who the fuck would work for that club?
Dude, John
as
Laporta
a player or a coach?
John Laporta is like a porn star filmer or something, I swear.
Dude.
Like, he just takes advantage of everybody.
Like Ron Jeremy is running Barcelona.
Like Barstool Sports is running.
Oh yeah, it's like just fucking Dave Portnoy. Oh man. Jesus Christ, man! What a disaster that club is.
It's so
it's too
disappointing.
bad because in the same way I think like soccer is better for like when Man United is competitive. Like soccer is better when
Barcelona. Yeah,
when
I
Barcelona
totally agree.
is competitive and has their shit together. Like soccer is better. Like there needs to be competition in La Liga.
I mean, they were competitive in the Champions League, which I would say like is probably the most important contribution again, because like at the end of the day, like, do I really give a shit who wins the Bundesliga or La Liga? Not really. But if they're putting good teams in the Champions League, I think to your point that makes European soccer that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Barcelona-Real Madrid rivalry is really special. And when it's just Real Madrid taking a shit on fucking Barcelona's forehead, it's not that exciting to watch. Even though it makes you feel dirty, you know?
It's fun because like Real Madrid has managed their club masterfully. And
I think the business structures are so different, right? I think Real Madrid's privately held, and Barcelona is a fan equity club where fans have ownership, and they just fucked up the model on the Barcelona side. And Real Madrid have built a brand that is worth fucking all of King Midas's gold. Like, what the fuck?
It's not even going to matter that they pay Chelsea another $5 million for Hazard after they win this Champions League.
Dude,
nobody's
going
to talk about it.
It would be $5 million.
Yeah, Chelsea get another $5 million for the Hazard deal if they.
Is he still in the squad?
No, he's retired.
Okay,
the Hamburglar is at home.
The contract is still valid. They released, or he retired, but the terms of the contract, the terms of the contract were not that like.
It was the name. It was the number of the season, right?
Squad. It was
Well, Real Madrid won't give a fuck about that.
No, they won't.
You guys are going to be jizzing over your pennies.
Yeah, but if they win, then like Dortmund get a ton of money from. They get more money than they would have if they won for the Jude Bellingham deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like financial
directly
for direct finances. Like Dortmund winning the CL, like in like marketing and like swag and stuff, like they would come out on top. But in terms of direct prize money, Dortmund stand to intake more dollars losing the final due to the Jude Bellingham deal than winning.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then they'd have to pay Chelsea another $5 million, and I think that's probably the final payment for Hazard.
I kind of hope Dortmund win, to be honest.
Me too. Yeah, who doesn't?
How disappointing is it though that? Yeah, I think true. Well, I guess that's true. Most people are going to be, unless you're a Real fan, you're rooting for the underdog in this for any number of reasons. And to your point, it is good for soccer to have that parity where a team like Dortmund is in the final. But how disappointing is it? I hadn't thought about this. That Gio ended up getting transferred out of that squad, and then they end up in the final
to play like 10 minutes for Nottingham Forest.
10 or 15.
Did he play in the Champions League group stage?
I don't remember. But I don't know what Gio does. That's maybe next episode we do a recap on like the different U.S. players or something, Champions League, and do that. But
yeah.
Gio's in a tough spot in his career, I think. I think he's such a good player. I don't know why he can't make it happen at the club level. But
I think it's a little bit like, I think there's some similarities to Pulisic's career in that like he finally moved on to the right manager in Pioli and really just cooked. and I wouldn't even say that about every player that played for Pioli. Some of them like haven't done shit to improve themselves, but like Pulisic just got launched into outer space.
Yeah.
In terms of performance.
Yep. All right. Well, so Derek, you asked about this before we kicked off, but the homework assignment was to give a player rating for our squads. So I did it for Chelsea, and I guess you can like audit me as I go through.
Yeah, I was busy traipsing around Europe, so sorry
I
about
have
that.
both. Are we doing an overall team grade, or are we doing player by player?
I did player by player. I can also give a team grade.
Are we just doing a starting 11?
I took the whole first team.
I just did a starting 11, but I can riff off. We're all good.
All right, yeah. I don't, and then I have my recommendations for the off season. I put a whole plan together. This is me interviewing for the position of Chelsea manager. Although I wouldn't be allowed to have any say in the transfers, apparently. So,
are you when you get to the actual interview? You're going to lead off with Nicholas Jackson in that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like
okay.
I'd like to build a team around him.
Yeah.
But
and sell Cole Palmer because you need to get to the ball to Jackson.
He's getting in the way of Nico's development.
Yeah, that was my impression as well. Okay, I'm glad we're in sync there.
All right. So I have I did like school grading, like A, B, C, D, and then I have an S tier that's reserved for specific player. So Robert Sanchez, go through the goalkeepers first. Robert Sanchez, D. I don't know what we do with this guy. I don't know how we ended up with him. He is real bad. I think we paid Brighton 25 mil, and
didn't we just buy every player that was available from Brighton? Is that how we ended up with them?
So like the story is we have, because we took Brighton's entire coaching staff when we brought Graham Potter, and most of them left, but who didn't leave is their goalkeeping coach. I forget his name right now, but he worked with Robert Sanchez there, and he went to the club and was like, this guy's the truth. We want you guys, like, we need a keeper with Arrizabalaga going out. You should go get him. And so they brought Robert Sanchez in. He was bad. He was outplayed by an MLS keeper, Georgi Petrovic, who I gave a B just because he came in sort of like, he's not the long-term solution. Goalkeeping is a mess for this team. We have Gaga Slanina coming up in the academy, I guess. He was out on loan this season. Hopefully he comes good, but he's not going to be a PL goalie for at least another few seasons. And then our third keeper, Marcus Bettinelli, didn't play a single game, so I just didn't rate him. So then the defense, Axel Disasi, I gave a C. Do you agree with that, Derek?
Yeah, the Disasi disaster was all over the place this campaign.
Yeah. Mark Cucurella, I gave a B.
Yeah, he wasn't the hero we deserved, but he was the hero we needed.
Well, he was injured for a lot of the season. He came back from, I think it was an ankle injury or calf injury. Maybe it was a foot injury. Whatever it was. He was out for a while. He came back. We started inverting our left back, and he looked great. He was a key piece of why we put together the form we did at the end of the season, and I'd be happy to keep him next season. He's not a 70 million euro left back. We way overpaid for him, but he gets a B for me this season.
That's from two people who talked endless shit about him for like weeks at the beginning of the season.
I thought
I was right there.
I think at the beginning of the season I said he just straight up can't play football.
I was posting Krusty the Clown memes, just being an asshole.
Benoit Badiashile I gave a D, which is shocking for me. But he was like the worst player on the pitch for like half the games he ended up playing. I thought he was the signing of December last season. Of all the players we brought in, I thought he looked the best. This season started off injured. When he came back, he looked shockingly bad. And
no composure.
Yeah, no composure. The silver lining with Badiashile is that he is an alert and progressive passing center back, which I think if we can iron out the rough edges then we'll have a good ball-playing defender there. But this year he looked real bad. Do you disagree with any of that, Derek?
No.
Trevo Chalobah, I gave an A. He came back, and I think, again, he was the biggest piece, or one of the bigger pieces of us putting together our form at the end of the season. He came into the Sassy slot. He also played right back when Malo Gusto and Reese were both injured. I don't think he put a foot wrong, and that's why I gave him an A. Small sample size, but he basically was batting 1,000 during that sample size.
Yeah, I don't know. I could go either A or B on him. He didn't play the whole season, to your point, and then but he was highly flexible, and he was very, very effective in the limited run he had. Maybe not quite that outstanding as the other players that got A's though. Yeah,
well, that was the first A, for me. But I also gave Thiago Silva an A. Do you? I don't know. Stop me if you just for.
I would give
speed.
Silva and him a B, but
okay.
Silva lost a step, but he definitely filled his role and had some big moments, and provided veteran leadership on the team. I just don't know that he was that elite at this. And some of it's just age, right? But
yeah. Chile and Reese James, I gave both of them a D. Unavailable. Reese James looked incredible in basically the one game that he could play. I mean, he looked really good early season. In the City game, he absolutely pocketed Doku. 2 red cards. I think he was one of 3 players or something that took 2 reds in this season.
Yeah.
He missed the rest of the season. He's supposed to be our captain. He misses the first 3 games of next season. I think he has the ability. Obviously, everyone thinks he has the ability to be the best right back in the world, but he needs to iron the petulance out of his game for him to hit that level and stay healthy. So,
yeah, the body of work from either of them wasn't there this season.
Yeah.
Pretty disappointing.
Colwell, I gave a C. I don't think I thought he was fine, but he just was played out of position most of the time and then was injured, and he didn't look good as a left back. I hope we play him in his natural position, left center back next season. Malo Gusto, I gave an A. I thought he was fantastic this season. The dude's 20 years old. I can't believe how good he is. Derek, just jump in if you disagree with any of these. Wesley Fofana, I didn't rate. He didn't play. Alfie Gilchrist, I gave a B just for vibes.
How much did Fofana cost?
80.
Fuck.
Just assume all of them were 80. All of them were 80.
Yeah. He's been injured basically. We've had him for 2 seasons now, and he's been injured practically the whole time. Enzo Fernandez, I gave a C. He was injured, playing through injury the whole season. I thought he looked great last season. I don't know. Hopefully that injury was really hampering him, because once he was gone, Caicedo looked like a world-class mid playing with Connor.
Yeah, I could go B or C on him, just because I think he was, to your point, he was so affected by that injury, but he was battling through it for the squad. So I think there's something to be said for that. But yeah, body of work, probably a C.
Yeah. Leslie Ugachukwu, he might have led the squad in cards per minute. I gave him a C. He was injured for a lot of the season. He was basically brought on at the end of games to be a hammer, and he was a hammer. So gave him a C. He's also young. Carney Chukwuemeka, I didn't rate. He played. He scored a great goal against West Ham, and then did his knee and basically didn't play again from that point on. Conor Gallagher, I gave a B. I thought he was just solid the whole season. And I guess the only reason I didn't give him a B is because I thought by the end of the season Caicedo was an easy A. He went on a 30-game tear where he dropped nothing but 7s or higher on Who Scored. And I think that people who say that he was a flop signing just don't watch soccer. That's my opinion of Caicedo. You have anything to say there, Derek? You look like you want to say something.
I think Gallagher. Yeah, I think Gallagher played up to an A. It's at points, but on the overall season, it's tough because, as I talked about, he does a lot of things well, and he does a lot of things off the ball that maybe don't show up in stats or don't show up in frankly just like casually watching the game. But his ability to press forward, make the final pass, help him build up, contributing every phase of the game, I think is a little bit underrated. But at the same time, I think you make the argument that he wasn't like exceptional, right?
Yeah.
At the A level.
Future Tottenham legend Conor Gallagher.
Or
Cesare
Chalobah at
Cassidy.
this point.
Huh?
Or I saw some Chalobah rumors the other day.
Oh, dude, he's been really good if you guys get him. I don't think... Well, we'll get into that in a second. Cesare Cassidy didn't rate. Lavia didn't rate. Injured. Cassidy recalled from loan. He had a good loan spell at Leicester and then got recalled for stupid reasons. Raheem Sterling I gave a C. Mikhailo Mudryk I gave a B. Noni Madueke I gave a B. Christopher Nkunku I gave a C, just because of the injuries. Though I think goals per minute, he was the best on the team. He did something crazy like 5 goals in the 5 games he played.
It kind of comes down to how much you penalize a player for being injured, right? But I think I would go for B there, because I think when he came back, he was effective to at least that level. Though
Just couldn't play
I think
whole
he's
games.
capable of a lot more.
Yeah,
He could never play whole games.
I'm excited to see him next season because he does look like an assassin when he's on the field. And then the S tier: Nico Jackson and Cole Palmer.
What is an S tier?
That's just like world class.
You just can't say A.
S tier, world class. Yeah,
Super and super average.
yeah. So interestingly, I'm going to run through my whole pitch on Chelsea. So that squad has 14 homegrown players, 5 local homegrown. You need 8 homegrown players and 4 that are from your club, homegrown club, to register a full 25-man squad for Europe. So that's a 27-man Chelsea squad with 14 homegrown, 5 local homegrown. They cannot register a full Europe squad and also get rid of Gallagher and Chalobah. They can't sell them both and register a full squad. Mm-hmm. So those are some considerations there. I recommend offloading Sterling. These figures are based on Transfermarkt. I think this is a long shot that he'll go, but he's valued at 35 million euros. Ursa Balaga, I would just release him or offload him. It says he's worth 12 million on Transfermarkt. I don't think we'll get that. Who I do think we'll get compensation for is Lukaku, 30 million. I would send Cassidy and Gilchrist on loan. I would, and Ugachukwu, sorry. Broya, sell. Looks like we get 22 million for him, which blows my mind. But
will not sell for 22 million. Get the fuck
that's what
out of here.
Transfermarkt has him. I mean, the striker market is fucked up.
Yeah, people were in on trying to go after him for a loan.
And then he went to Fulham and never played.
Well,
yeah, they could either play him and pay nothing for that loan or pay 4 million euros, and they chose to pay 4 million euros, and I think that says a lot. Mari Hutchinson balled out for Ipswich, and I think we should sell him because we're just so loaded at left-footed right wingers. So it looks like 10 mil for him. Ziyech is already sold for 9.5 million. That's kind of gone under the radar, but he's staying with Galatasaray. Ian Maatsen, he is gone for 35 million. Somebody's going to trigger that transfer clause. It'll probably be Borussia Dortmund, maybe Bayern. But yeah, Lewis Hall, he's already gone for 32.5 million. That we absolutely robbed Newcastle.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, that is fucking crazy. But that is the fee that they are paying. Disasi, I don't care what we have to do with this guy. Take a bath on him. Get rid of him.
Are you selling him and Are you selling him and Badiashile?
No, I'm keeping Badiashile for one more season.
Okay.
I do think that Badiashile will come good. I'm basing it all on how good he was the previous season, and I'm just hoping that because he didn't get a full preseason and everything, he started the season injured, that I'm just hoping that he comes good and shows that form. And then
I
Chile,
can see the merits to that.
Chile, I want gone. I think he's cooked. It says transfer mark says we can get 30 for him, and then I would go out and get Benjamin Sesko as a striker. Maybe Osimhen, but Osimhen's pretty expensive for his goal production based on the last 2 seasons.
So if you sell Chilwell, then are you comfortable starting Cucurella, or are you thinking that they want to try and play Gusto on the opposite side?
I'm starting Cucurella, and I'm buying Amar Didic, I think is how you say his name, for $20 million from Leipzig. He's like a 20-year-old left back who looks pretty great in the Bundesliga.
All right, so buy somebody to replace him, and then use Cucurella as cover.
Yep. Goalkeeper, I want Diogo Costa. I don't think that'll happen. And then to fill out our center backs, I think I've talked about this guy a lot. I would love us to go get Giorgio Scalvini. I think we're linked with Ousmane Diomande, who's also a very good ball-playing center back. But I like Scalvini more.
I don't need any Italians on the squad. That's the only place I divert.
And then for whatever reason, I threw him on here, but we are heavily linked with Elise. And the rumor is that we want to play him on the left in front of. So our front would be, if nothing else changes and we get Elise, and I assume we'd get rid of Sterling in that scenario, it would be Elise on the left, Palmer on the right, and Cuckoo as the 10, and then Nico Jackson down the middle at 9. So...
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see whether in that scenario you would think we'd get more value from selling Gallagher on, and then we'd have enough cover in central midfield, because you don't want to just relegate him to the bench.
The interesting thing about Elise, so he has a clause for 60 million. Elise is a Chelsea Academy product, so you can lose Gallagher. If you sold off Gallagher, you'd still have a homegrown Academy player in Elise because he's from the Chelsea Academy, and his brother is still at the Chelsea Academy.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that might be factoring into why we want Elise so bad.
What's the value on Gallagher?
45.
Yeah, that's good value. That'd be good business, I guess, for us especially.
Right. Oh, overall grade C, not good enough for the team. Anyway, Luke, your turn.
All right, I'm not going to go quite into as much detail as you did, but I was very impressive how much time you spent on transfer market this week.
Does Ryan have a full-time job still?
Dude, I did this in 30 minutes this morning, tops. I just play too much Football Manager.
I kind of need to start. I need to play a game of that, or do a season of it. Excuse me.
Really.
We should also do football fantasy next year, right? We should do EPL fantasy.
Yeah, we can do that.
Already do that? I think that would be a fun running.
Yeah, that would be
season.
fun.
If you both played Football Manager, we could do a network save and play against each other. But yeah, it really does.
I'm already losing to Chelsea in real life. I don't need to lose to Chelsea in Football Manager too.
I won't play as Chelsea. Yeah. Anyway, what do you got?
All right, so we'll go from the back. A lot of my I would say a lot of my higher scores are weighted on first season kind of experience a little bit with my squad. So I think my scores, especially for, like I said, new players, will skew a little high. But I think we're pretty good here. All right, so Vic I gave an A- to, despite some stumbles on the free kick side. Thought he was really fantastic. Probably a top 5 goalie in the Premier League season, particularly for a first year Premier goalie. Udogi, I would give a B to. I think he had a really good season. I want to give him a B+. He just came out of the team a little bit, and that red card at Chelsea, at that first game with Chelsea, I think really hampered kind of hampered things going forward for him. Mickey Van de Ven, I'm going to give an A- to. You guys know how like hot and bothered I am about those fast-moving legs, those Dutch legs, that flying Dutchman.
I think it's ridiculous that your player of the season missed a third of the season. I think that says a lot about how shit Tottenham is.
All right. You want fifth or sixth place, baby. You want Europa League or Conference League. You gotta suck my dick.
Are you impressed that Ryan restrained himself until like 45 seconds into your player ratings?
I don't actually think it's a crazy point to make. I think it reflects how good Mickey Van de Ven is, and not necessarily how shit the team was. Christian Romero, B. I think is steady Eddie, had a good season. He would get a higher rating if he didn't have a bunch of red cards in the beginning of the season. Pedro Porro, I actually think he was our most underrated player. He's the most consistent, creative player in the team. I gave him an A-, actually. I think he was fantastic for an attacking right back. Basuma, I'm going to give a C+ to. I just don't think he's the number 6 we need. Højbjerg, I'm going to give a higher score to.
You were really hot on Basuma at the beginning of the season.
I just don't think he's a number 6. He doesn't cover enough ground. I don't think he's defensively aggressive enough. Okay. He keeps the ball in tight spaces really well, but he needs to defend with more aggression in space, and he doesn't do that. So I'm a little cold on Basuma for next year. Højbjerg, I give a B- to, not because of like he was mostly a bench player, but when he did come off in that role, I thought he was really excellent professional and had a couple really good games.
He announced he's leaving, right?
Yeah, he did, yeah. And that was always going to be the case. We'll get a good, $25 million from him, probably 20-25 mil. Oliver Skip, I'm going to give a C- to. Needs to get sold. James Madison, I'm going to give a B- to. I thought he started the season so well, but then got that ankle injury and never really came back into form. I'm going to give an incomplete to Bentancur. Because he did play a good amount of the season, but after a knee injury like that, I'm just going to leave him alone and not give him too much grief.
I thought he looked good at times.
At the end of the season, you could tell he was coming into some form, but in his early games, you could just tell he wasn't up for it yet.
Yeah, he also looked really bad at times. Yeah, that's a bad injury to come back from mid-season.
Yeah, it was like his confidence just was all over the place. Pepe Sarr, I'm going to give a B to. That's one of those higher side grades. First full season in the Premier League as a starter. Real high upside. On the right side, Kulusevski, I'm going to give a B- to. I think actually we should sell him. I'm not a huge fan of Kulusevski. I just don't think he offers enough. Though I did like him in the false 9 role he played in the last couple games, particularly against City. Aronson on the right, coming into a much bigger club. I actually thought he was really good. I'm going to give a B+ to in terms of what he was expected to do. I thought he played really well. He needs to be better, but again, he's really young, but contributed a lot in forward areas where we really didn't click. Richarlison, a solid C+. That middle spell of the season was really important when he scored the 9-10 goals when we had huge injuries, so I give him respect for that. Just not available enough. On the left side, Son, I'm going to give an A- to. He had a good season. He scored goals. He was out of position for a lot of it, and he led the team well in what was a transitional season. I'm going to give Werner a C- because I hope we do not sign him and get him the fuck out of London. If I was going to be fair to Werner, I think it was more of a B-. It's kind of exactly what you expect from him. Like you can't really give him shit. He did exactly what he needed to do within his capabilities. He's just not fucking good enough. Glad we didn't pay like $70 million for him or whatever Chelsea paid for him 5 years ago. But he should be nowhere in the Premier League.
I'm going to look that up while you keep talking. Yeah, By the way, Højbjerg on Transfermarkt, and they just updated their PL
like
values. He's 18.
Yeah. So I'd say 20. I'd be at like 20 mil if they do their job right. Squad entirely, I would give a B- to. I think it was a little bit up. I expected it to be a C- season with losing Harry Kane, new manager, transitional team. But I thought they did a little bit above average, just a real big dip at the end of the year.
Did you have Emerson on there with an F?
Oh, I didn't. I'm not even going to grade Emerson Royal.
I think he deserves to get a grade, and it should be an F because he played enough minutes.
I think it's a D. I'm not going to give someone an F who works that hard and is that professional, but yeah, he's
Who
not
are we
good
talking
enough.
about again?
Who is
Emerson
this?
Royal.
Who?
Oh.
Emerson Royal is a workman.
But you said
player.
hardworking and professional.
Yeah, I think he was hardworking and professional. He never came in and slogged off. He's just not fucking good enough.
He came in and played zero defense, playing fullback.
Yeah, because Ange Pochettino fullbacks don't fucking play defense. Have you noticed that?
I noticed it when he was on the pitch. Yeah.
Well, when he came on, right, he'd come into that inside space where Poro was coming in and would really thrive, or when he was playing on the left side, and he'd just lose the ball every fucking time.
Yeah, and then forget that he had
it.
to cover the space behind him.
Right,
Yeah.
and he's not fast enough to get back into the space.
Chelsea paid 64 million euros for Timo and then sold him on for 35. Right back to Leipzig. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm surprised he got 35, so net 30 loss. I was pretty close on my $70 million.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. We paid 53.
53.
And then sold him for 20. I
Okay.
was looking at the market value at the time. So we paid under what his market value was at that point.
It was still a lot of money for a winger at that time.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a lot like Mudryk as a left winger who is like not like supremely technically gifted, but is just fast and like headstrong. You know.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you gotta give it to Werner. He's gotten so much shit, and he applies himself really well. I think the teams he plays in generally like him. You know, nobody comes out and is like, this guy is toxic, right?
Yep.
I think he's just like a little slow in the head and fast in the feet. You know.
Yep, I would agree with all
I don't
of
think
that.
he's like an idiot, but I just don't think he's the most
I think
technically...
he's kind of dumb. I think he's pretty stupid.
The German accent does not help that guy. Like,
Yeah, he's got a little Aaron Rodgers going on in him.
I don't think he's that thoughtful about anything.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's not that many gears turning, right? Yeah,
Maybe
fair enough.
he needs to take some ayahuasca or shrooms, and Timo Werner would open up. So yeah, overall, I'm going to call out positions. I'm not going to call out players. We definitely need a center forward of some kind. I think that's reflective in Tony and Solanke. We need a number 6. If Bentiger is going to slide in there at 100%, I think he can do it. But if he can't, he's good as a number 8. We need a number 6. I would also like to see another outside back come in of some kind. I actually thought Mickey Van de Ven playing on the left side was kind of successful in a weird way towards the end of the season. Obviously, it's against Burnley and fucking Sheffield. But
Scored a goal?
I think another outside back would be really good. And then maybe another wide player if we get really...
Makes a lot of sense, Luke.
Yeah. We really got hurt by some like really under the radar long-term injuries, like Perisic coming out of the team. That really hurt us.
That's the one you want to call out?
Yeah, because he was coming.
Perisic was
he
good.
He can cross.
His
the
crossing
ball.
was
It's
crazy.
so good. And
It was like a fucking laser.
Yeah.
Late in games, Perisic was coming on not to do the running.
Okay, fair enough.
To cross into Richarlison.
Just stand out
when
there.
You're tied,
Yeah.
exactly. Him getting a torn ACL sucks. So there were some injuries like that. The team's in transition, obviously. I think we have the right manager. I think it'll be better next year. I think if we can fight for 3rd, 4th place next year, we'd be in good shape.
Do you think how many weeks of vacation is going to take Ange to recover his mental health after what that team did to him at the end of the season?
Probably not as long as it will for Chelsea to find a manager.
We apparently have our guy.
Yeah, apparently you're right. I did see that.
It's going to be real boring, man.
I looked. That guy
know.
plays a 4-3-3. I mean, I'm gonna reserve judgment until I see how he kind of lines up and executes it.
I think Ange is still one of the most exciting managers in the league. The second season will be the judgment for him.
Me too. I get excited when my team plays against his tactics.
Yeah, and I get excited for the
Probably
press
gonna score.
conferences after he loses. Yeah.
Dude, he did lose his mind once, but he actually kind of walked back those statements last week. That after the City game, he lost his mind about the atmosphere in the game.
Yeah,
more at the fans than anybody else. and he kind of walked them back.
Yeah, he was definitely pissed off at the fans. I think some of it was taken out of context and misinterpreted. Like, I think he was mostly frustrated with the environment, the stadium, and the fan reactions and shit.
Yeah, I appreciate he was that upset by it being suggested that he would lose any game.
Yeah,
that he had like a fucking he had like a dad aneurysm on television.
Yeah, he was like, I'm losing enough of these without trying, guys.
Give me some credit here.
This is effortless.
As the one who says Nico Jackson is world class over here.
S tier, Luke. S tier.
It's like
Him
some
and
Joshua
Cole Palmer.
Weissman food fucking tears over there. Cole Palmer for sure. I think Cole Palmer. I'm really excited about Cole Palmer being like on a platform in the league.
So last thing, we'll wrap up on this. What? Who would you guys pick as your player of the season? Overall player of the season. I think this is easy, but I'm curious what you guys think.
For me, I would go between Mickey Van de Ven and Pedro Porro.
Sorry. Overall, not just on your team.
Premier
Overall
League?
PL player of the season.
Please.
Yeah. For me, it's Foden. Like I don't think but I'm curious if you guys have like dissenting opinions on that. I think he's been clearly the best player in the league. But
Derek, you want to?
I think that's right. Yeah, I don't think anyone really is up in that tier.
I would say that I agree. Like, if there was a player that I loved to watch the most, it was certainly Phil Foden. I would give Rodri the most dominant player in the Premier League. Like, there's nobody who imposed themselves on a match like Rodri does. Like, you watch every game he's in, he is the best player on he is like the Xavi of the former Barcelona team, or the Busquets, I guess, is a more direct correlation. But
yeah,
he's the most dominant center midfielder. I just think Phil Foden is the most exciting to watch, and I think everybody had been holding their breath for Phil Foden to reach his potential, and I think he finally has done that.
He did it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the recaps on the FA Cup and our thoughts on our individual clubs. We are on basically every podcast platform. Please like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this. We have a Discord. There's been a lot of banter in there lately. We'd love to get a few more people in there. If you guys want to join, that's in the show description. We are live on Sundays, sometimes Mondays, whenever Luke feels like recording. And we'll see you guys next week. The Champions League is this coming weekend. And that'll be a wrap on the season, and then we get into transfer drama. So thank you again for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.